Hello, here's my commentary of the Castlevania 64 speedrun that I did as Carrie in 34 minutes and 19 seconds. A new record. I last set the Carrie record in early 2014, so it's been over 7 years. So that's pretty cool. This run's played on normal difficulty, and I'm also using the alternate costume, which you can do by holding up as you select Carrie. You have to unlock it on the file though. The alternate costume, I believe, saves time due to being less computationally intensive and thus causing less slowdown overall. Also, the N64 was recently reset before I did this so that the RNG was at its starting value, and you can somewhat control the RNG at the very beginning of the run before it gets too out of control. And that's what is done here. So charge an orb and throw it at the rock, and then that should cause a power-up drop from one of the skeletons, and then shoot 2 more uncharged orbs on your way back to the power-up, and then pick it up after the flash. The flash here triggers the RNG to progress, so you need to wait for it, but there's kind of a tight timing going on here where you need to pick up this orb relatively quickly to get in position for the boss. So it's a little bit tricky. So pick it up, and if the RNG is in the correct position, that skeleton will die in 2 hits and drop another power-up. Now, oftentimes in my runs, that skeleton actually has a ton of HP, which means that the RNG was somehow off, and I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure what triggers it. So there'd be sometimes some upsetting resets that I have to do and grind out that skeleton. Alright, so the next thing to do is get under the big skeleton's legs right here. By standing here, if you stand in front of him, back here, the skeleton will travel through the gate and go over here. That's the traditional strategy. And from the other side of him, he'll run all the way around the other side of the arena. But if you're under his legs, he takes a shorter path to a different position. However, you don't want to get hit. So what I do is I make sure Carrie's facing down this way towards the camera so that I can jump the moment the skeleton starts moving, and then the skeleton's going into the right position. So then I just wander over towards the big skeleton, which causes him to do the swinging attack that just makes sure that the big skeleton doesn't try to spawn any little skeletons, which will not only cause lag but be really annoying. So it takes 2 hits, and then I immediately jump and look down because I need to wait for the big skeleton to move, and every time the big skeleton moves, he kicks up dust, and all transparent particle effects are they cause a lot of slowdown in this game, so by looking away for as long as I can. I look up when I basically use an audio cue. I listen to how many footsteps he makes, and then after a certain amount of time, I start charging the next orb, and I try to stand in a position that will cause him to do the swinging attack, but it's not necessary. In this case, he does do the swinging attack, and then for this part, normally he'll run around here again, but for some reason on this exact phase of the fight, you can jump at his crotch and he will stay in place and become immediately vulnerable. So there's an attack and then another hit. Then I just jump away. I try to get mostly to the other side of the arena. I accidentally hit the wall and slid. I don't usually want to do that, but I just happened to do that this time. And again, I'm looking down to prevent slowdown. And then I just try to hit him as fast as I can. I mean, there's kind of a choice here where you can delay those hits a little bit and he will spawn skeletons, and then when you hit him, he dies along with the skeletons, and then you can try to fish for jewel drops, which can be good to have, but I decided to not even try to get lucky there, and I definitely wasn't confident enough to try to manipulate the RNG all the way up to this point in the run. I don't know if it's possible, but maybe it is, but I decided not to do that. So here I'm waiting until I hear him jump off the ledge. Then I know I won't be looking up at a bunch of dust. So So jumping across, I charge an orb here and try to kill these 2 skeletons that tend to spawn. Although in this run I had a 3rd skeleton spawn, this sometimes happens. The more skeletons that spawn, the more lag. I try to take them out with the orb. I know that shooting the orb causes, shooting the orb of course should cause some additional, computation to need to occur. But I believe it's worth taking out as many skeletons as you can so that they don't linger and cause even more slowdown. So it's kind of a crazy balance of trying to reduce lag. Here I'm collecting the moon card, and you can see that I actually pick it up while standing. That's something you can do if you are standing right next to it and break it in just the right way and then pick it up as early as you can. Sometimes you'll just pick it up with the standing pickup animation before it falls to the ground. That definitely saves some time. And about 1:37 I'm using the moon card. I use the moon card as soon as I obtain it. That's because I have to get to the rose garden between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And it turns out you should just use it immediately if you're going very fast. I also pick up the sun card, which I will use later, and I do pick it up standing. So here I'm just trying to get this switch. And hopefully after I skip this cutscene the bats don't immediately hit me, which can be annoying. I shoot a partial orb there, which seems to always kill that spawning skeleton. I believe maybe when the skeletons are in their spawn animation they don't have like a lot of health perhaps. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I also know that if you shoot a fully charged orb there, sometimes the orb itself can have enough health left over after destroying the skeleton that it can swing back around and hit the boss here, which delays the boss's death, so that's not good. And then I can use my close range attack to kill the bat, and then immediately jump over here, and then the boss will fall off the ledge chasing me. Then I just try to kill a few enemies here before the platform raises up, in case they drop jewels. Now I'm jumping across, and this part tends to have a good amount of lag and a variable amount of skeleton spawns. I am looking out for red jewels that may spawn from the skeletons, especially large red jewels, which are kind of rare. But I don't actually need any lucky drops, so it's not required. Here I do this kind of slope slide, which allows me to jump once in midair, which resets the falling so I don't take any fall damage. And then because I'm activating this mechanism like really far down here, I'm not like up in the middle of it or far to the side, I'm on the close side of it. The camera tends to be pointing pretty like parallel to like the river, and that means I can basically just hold left and then jump and then land, and then I immediately jump when I land and pull myself up, and then I immediately jump when I pull myself up, and then once I get up here I jump immediately again and pull myself up. And that whole sequence, there's something called ledge jumping, which you're about to see. I call it ledge jumping. We used to call it task jumping, but it doesn't feel appropriate because it's not task only or anything. Humans can easily do it, but it requires you to mash the button very fast, and for the sake of consistency I do that the first few platforms like this, where I don't go for any of those ledge jumps. Instead I just grab the ledge and pull myself up. There are different ways to approach this section, but I found that first of all there's like the 3 a.m. deadline later, where if I go as fast as possible I'll actually get there early and need to wait. So therefore if I can actually play the whole beginning section well enough that I won't lose any time for not going for the ledge jumps here. Plus it's just more consistent, and because this is near the beginning of the run, it's kind of nice not to have to like mash the button super hard, although you're about to see it. So right here I'm mashing, and I'm holding, if I go back a little bit, I'm actually holding up, but then I hold up right the moment I need to ledge jump. You can see it just seems to work out. And those have to be running jumps. Oh, here, right here, let me just go back a little bit so you can see this part one more time. Yeah, right here, very unusual skeleton spawn, and then she like auto-targeted the skeleton and ended up missing the torch a few times, so just pretty slow. But yeah, that's where you get the holy water. Then I got the 5 jewels there because I didn't find any jewels up to this point. So it looked like I wasted a bit of time on that first torch, but it didn't actually end up mattering too much, as you'll see later. And this is pretty standard. Sometimes a blue skeleton spawns, which he did. I don't think I hit him there. I can't hear the audio currently because I'm just recording. Like, I don't have headphones right now, so I can't hear the run, but. Alright, one more slope jump. Actually, I guess there's something to say here. So, you can go on either side of this building right here, and they seem to be about the same speed, but I found if I go on this side of the building, it gives me a better view of what I'm trying to do with this ledge right here, because I'm trying to land on this, like this part of the slope here, so I slide off and then get an air jump, which is faster than doing normal jumps across this. So yeah, and then because I didn't get enough jewels, I need to break this rock to get the last 10 jewels that I want. So I do the slide and I try to attack early into the slide, charging an orb. And when you attack with a ring when you're charging an orb, even though you don't release the orb becomes like a hitbox. So you can get some kind of interesting interactions where you're like attacking with both things simultaneously, and that helps break the rock right away. So pick up that jewel, and I'm on my way to the end of Forest of Silence. I just try to jump across to the end of the arena because it despawns some motorcycle skeletons, then I look down to reduce lag. I look up, and early at the beginning when I was fighting that, the big skeleton the first time, there was that one phase where you could jump into his crotch. Well, this battle you can do that for the entire fight, but there's also a fast ending strategy. So the moment he gains control, I jump at his crotch, then hit him twice. But I'm also positioning myself so that he takes a little step forward towards the ledge each time, because what I'm trying to do is make it so his final death is much faster by knocking him off the ledge. So for this hit right here, by kind of curving, like I go kind of left, and then the big skeleton rotates. And that seems to increase the odds that he will fall off the ledge right here, which is what happens. You can also look down at the ground right after you knock him down to reduce lag, but I don't know how much. It doesn't seem like it saves that much time, and sometimes it's nice to see what's actually happening. So then if you're standing between this line and this line, then it will progress to the next level when the boss falls out of bounds. Oh, one more thing too. So something that's happened to me, I believe twice maybe, is right here, the boss can actually fall out of bounds without landing on this ground first. It seems to be very rare and hard to do. The positioning seems like probably very strict because it happens so rarely. But that would be a potential way to do this a little bit faster. But again, as you'll see with the Rose Garden meeting at 3 AM later, it doesn't actually save any time. So pretty good Force of Silence and skip the cutscenes. I opened the far left side of that door. And then this is a room that I've practiced a lot because there's a glitch you can do at the top of this tower, and I needed to practice it a lot, and I ended up jumping up here a lot. So right here, you actually want to grab, I just need to mention something about this. You actually want to grab either in the middle or to the left, and not to the right. So right here, I grab kind of in the middle, maybe slightly left. That causes the platforms to work out a lot better later. And then as I'm coming up here, I actually go around the left side of this guy. That's just personal preference, but basically this bone dragon thing will always shoot the close range flames if you go around the close edge like this, and I just found that to be very consistent. Then pretty much just jumping up. It's really straightforward. I guess there is one other thing to mention though. It's right here. Okay, so that jump, if you jump too far to the outer edge right there, sometimes you get a standing jump, and the reason is because this is a moving platform. If this is a moving platform and you jump at the very edge, sometimes your running jump will turn into a standing jump, and then you will die. So I need to make sure I jump not too late. Actually, this game's pretty good about giving you leniency on when you jump. You can jump quite late as you're falling off the ledge. But yeah. Open the middle of that door. You need to kind of memorize every single door in the game, or at least the ones you need to open, because they all have specific spots that are more optimal to open. So I shoot an uncharged orb at that first flame, throw 2 holy waters. Sometimes I get a 5 jewel drop from the flame, then I shoot some more holy waters. Sometimes you don't even take damage at this part, so I pick up some jewels. I actually skip one of the big jewels there. It's possible to get another 10 jewels if I would have tried to farm it. It's also dangerous though, because you can accidentally pick up the knife sub-weapon, which overwrites the holy water. That's not something you want to happen. Okay, so this part. This is something that really drove me crazy, because... Okay, so I do a standing jump here, being very careful. I maneuver her to fall off the ledge, then I hold towards the ledge, which causes her to grab consistently. Then I crawl to the left and then to the right twice. Then I climb up and I'm holding R to align my camera so she can't move, and I'm holding Z so that she crouches. I also hold the control stick down left, but I'm also applying a small amount of pressure downwards, so it's not quite down left, it's more like down left and then a tiny bit downwards. You don't even need to move the joystick, as long as you're applying some pressure in the downward direction, well, in the bottom left notch, that should be enough to alter the inputs to be in the range that I need it to be in. Okay, so then right here what I'm doing is that I am, for 1 frame, I am doing like a crouch turn, or I'm like crawling by releasing the R button. I can go frame by frame on this and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm holding R, then suddenly I'm not holding R, and then I'm pressing holy water, and because of this, she gets 1 frame of movement, and then she throws the holy water. And because of the exact direction I was pressing with the joystick, that puts her in a facing angle and a position such that I can consistently clip out of bounds, well, kind of consistently. The holy water is a necessary sacrifice for this setup, because there's no way to instantly halt your movement other than, I guess, using that sub-weapon. So then from here, what I'm trying to do is I'm interrupting the hold R, which locks me in position, with a jump, but I'm only jumping for 1 frame, and the joystick has to be, the vertical position of the joystick has to be within 2 units, so it has to be either 0 or -1. At least with this setup. If you use a slightly different initial diagonal position, you can get a different kind of leniency where it's like 0 or +1. Either way, the point is your control stick has to be very perfect, and your jump has to be that 1 frame. And then once I jump, as long as I was holding left with a vertical position of 0 or -1, and I continue to hold that, she will clip through the corner. From here I need to immediately rotate to down right, and then repress A. And if I did all that correctly, she'll grab the ledge out of bounds. And then I can drop, and then I can slide, and then if you press A after you initiate a slide, she will actually air slide and then jump out of the air slide. So I side hop out of the air slide and then I jump to the end. And so that went really well, and I'll just show it again because it's pretty intense. But this caused a lot of resets, mainly due to how picky this game is about every aspect of jumping. Like, I have to be pressing A for a single frame, I have to make sure that the Y coordinate of the control stick is very precise. And oftentimes it's not really in my control. I mean, this is played with a regular Nintendo 64 controller, but it's pretty much impossible to tell if you have the right coordinate. Alright, so here I'm using that same thing I talked about earlier where you can attack with kind of both weapons at once. I'm trying to hit it with the orb, but without throwing the orb, by using the close range attack. Then I collect 10 jewels from that torch, an extra 5 from that as well. And then that holy water sometimes outright kills the dog, sometimes it requires one small extra hit, and that's what I usually do. Then here, so the gate opens, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stand in a specific position, which is kind of in the middle of this stone. And then once this dog initiates his throwing fire animation is when I immediately head to this corner. And then the moment this dog lands and tries to bite me, I have to jump so that I jump. This is actually a pretty weird section, honestly. I don't fully understand this, but basically what I'm trying to do is jump the moment the dog tries to bite me, and that'll give me like invulnerability to future hits or future bite attempts from the dog, as long as I'm not facing the dog too much. So I'm jumping here, then I immediately hold upright. And then the way I time this is that I'm trying to do another jump the moment the dog bites, which actually puts his head under me, which gives me something to stand on, so that I get pushed up and I can still jump, and it gives me just enough height to go over the fence. But the angle that I'm holding the control stick isn't viable for this jump, so I have to actually change the angle to be holding to the right. So let me just go back a little bit. Yeah, so here you can see I'm holding just, to the right. But if I hold right too early, then she's actually rotated too much towards the dog, and then the dog will actually do damage to me. So this took me a while to improve at. So upright and right and jump. And then I also found out that if I jump immediately upon touching the ground here, I can usually avoid the flames. So the flames are coming and I avoid them. So that whole sequence is pretty hard, actually. So that's the Cerberus skip, and that puts me in the villa. I hold R to fix my camera, and then I can jump on this edge here, which skips a cutscene and a vampire fight. And this is the final hallway to the Rose Garden meeting at 3 in the morning, which I actually get here early. So normally this cutscene will trigger the moment you slide down there, but it actually took like an extra second or two. So basically everything before that point, everything from using the moon card at the beginning of the game, all the way until that point, you cannot go faster than that. It's kind of like the clock rush in Symphony of the Night or something, except that you could have varying amounts of slowdown. So sometimes you get like a lot of skeleton spawns in the Force of Silence, and it can actually slow the game to a crawl, and that'll cost more real time. But I can't go faster in game time. Of course, this is a run that is timed in real time, so the lag reduction matters. But it also kind of makes up for some mistakes. Like there's that torch with the holy water in Force of Silence where I had some trouble breaking the torch. So small mistakes can be forgiven. I also didn't need to do the ledge jumps in Force of Silence to get back up to where that holy water torch was. I only needed to do a few of them, 3 of them, and not all of them. So it gives you a little bit of leniency at the beginning. However, it is still very hard to beat Rosa. It's actually a pretty significant accomplishment to be able to go that fast. break that torch, get the 10 jewels, and then we're going up here. And there's a cutscene when you open this door, and then there's actually a text box skip right here where you interact with 2 text boxes simultaneously, and the shorter one overrides the longer one, but it still gives you the key. Alright, so this point I'm at 69 jewels, and I know that that is enough jewels for the rest of the run. Actually, right at this point you only need 60, so I have an extra 3 jewels, which is good enough for 1 extra holy water throw. When I entered this room, I go into action view, which gives me a better camera in my opinion. However, I jumped early and bonked my head on the ceiling there, so that was kind of a mistake. It also ended up messing up the camera for this ending. However, I navigated it blind pretty well. Not too much to say here, just kind of opening doors. I also bypass, or I don't kill that glass knight because I don't need the 10 jewels. The glass knights drop large jewels at very high frequency, so they're pretty reliable. Skip cutscene, then I hold up left to get to that door when I hop there. And 3 jumps to get to this door. If you're going at a pretty fast pace, you'll get here before dawn, or before 6 a.m., so it ends up looking kind of darker in the garden maze. Alright, so I'm just jumping across. Oh, I guess there's something to say here. Alright, so here I like kind of weave more than I really need to, but that's to make sure the camera doesn't get stuck. Because if you take that line too directly, the camera gets stuck, and then it ends up kind of messing up this section. So here I just throw an orb, and then jump all the way to this wall, then throw another orb, and then I quickly, in a straight line, get to that corner, switch to battle view, and throw one more orb right before I get attacked. This should ensure that the gardener falls on me correctly, and then from here I'm trying to clip through the wall. So something I learned when looking into this is that if your facing angle here is too far left, you'll actually clip into this right pillar. It's a little bit counterintuitive. You might intuitively think that if you're too far right, you'll clip into the pillar to the right, but actually if you're too far left, at least in my testing. So what that means is you want to err slightly to the right here, and that should get you through the wall. And then there's actually a hole in the floor right here that I kind of jump over. You could actually fall out of bounds here and die, but I kind of know where the hole is, so I can kind of jump over it. Then I jump over here, and there's a tree. And now, interestingly, this tree is a flat plane, but the plane rotates to face the camera, and it has collision. So that means as I get in this corner and I jump and I hit R to rotate the camera, the plane for the bush rotates and pushes me through the wall. Although I had to do it in 2 tries, and then I get into the loading zone. So that skips most of the garden maze, which is pretty nice. Alright, here you can get outside of the boss's aggro radius and pretty much snipe holy waters. Now in between each jump, I'm actually pushing very slightly on the control stick to make it so that she doesn't do the longer animation. So you can do this more rapidly by slightly pushing the control stick between each throw. And then the last hit can be taken out with a small orb. So for here, I wait till the camera is like almost aligned with the second vampire and throw a holy water. And what this should do is it should cause a larger amount of damage to the boss. This is kind of dangerous though, because this boss can either do like a close range melee attack or a grab. And if she does the grab, oftentimes that holy water will be positioned to take out more than half of her health. And if that happens, then she will turn into mist and spawn bats and waste your life and ruin your run. And so it's kind of a gamble the way I do it. Alternatively, you could throw the holy water earlier, and then you wouldn't get the initial damage, and you'll only get like the remaining splash damage, which means that you'll have to do more damage on the following section. So you jump behind her, and then I move very slightly to the left, and then I wait until this targeting reticle is getting to actually targeting her, which means it turns red, and that means when I throw the holy waters, they will be significantly more accurate. They'll actually be aimed at her and should be doing significant damage. And I just try to throw them as fast as possible for this part. But I still have to do some minimum amount of rotation. So here I try to stand in this kind of perpendicular manner to the coffin because there's a faster way to enter the coffin. This is like the only cutscene in the game that you can't skip, which is kind of strange. So after she nods, I'm trying to mash the A button as fast as I can, because if you do face that perpendicular way that I was showing earlier, and you have your control stick going towards the coffin, and then you press A on the very first frame that she regains control, it hasn't really accounted for her new rotation, so it allows you to do a side hop even though she's facing the coffin. However, I didn't hit the first frame in this run, so she does a regular hop into the coffin, which is fine. Alright, so here there's a cutscene that you skip, and then some jumps. Alright, so here there's a boss trigger right here, and it actually extends outside of the bridge a little bit. So I have to really go around it. So I really go around it, and then I try to grab at this black line. And then I want to be heading towards the corner of this waterfall. But I want to make sure that I'm still like pushing in this direction. So I climb up, and then as I turn and face the waterfall, I do a full jump into this corner, try to get distance through the waterfall. And then when I land, I do another jump, and then after I jump, I immediately hold left, which should get me onto this ledge. Then I press R to avoid heavy amounts of transparency lag from the transparent water, because there's like mist and stuff here that'll cause a ton of lag. And you climb up and you jump. And if you jump on the very first frame right there, it won't break the floor. And then if you do it right, you can actually land past this line, which will skip the other breakable floor, so you can prevent more lag. Then hopping up these stairs. If you take these corners really tight, and then on this part you stick close to this wall, and again you're trying to jump first frame there to not cause the floor to collapse, that will avoid spawning extra lizards, which saves time. And then there's another lizard spawn in this corner that can be avoided by going slightly to the left. So right here I go left, and that makes it so this lizard doesn't spawn, because you're just trying to avoid slowdown by reducing the computation required. This is just some kind of platforming. And then for this last waterfall, this is actually it looks simpler, but it's actually a harder waterfall to skip. I used to be going against this wall, like all the way on the edge, but that would require me to delay the jump. So I'd have to hit the ground and then wait and then jump. And it's rather strict timing, so I decided to start jumping kind of to the left of the waterfall, but not all the way against the wall. And that makes it so that like I can just time the jump when I land. And I didn't grab the ledge there, which is good. So in this room you need to be holding down to avoid a cutscene, and then you jump into the loading zone for Castle Center. Alright, Castle Center is the longest stage in the game. It actually has some pretty significant skips, but it's still the longest. So when you enter this room, there's 3 different patterns that can occur with this vampire. She can either stand in place, run to this close corner, or run off screen behind this corner. And you kind of need to be prepped for all 3 scenarios. If she stays in place, or if she runs off like runs off far away, then you can jump towards her and then shortly before landing throw holy water and then kind of jump behind her so that she stays in the flames. If she goes right up to this corner, you can just walk forward and throw holy water and then jump behind her so she stays in the flames. So in all three situations you can... So here she ran off far away. So basically I'm just going around this corner and jumping, and then as I'm descending, throw holy water and then jump behind her so that she stays in the flames. And then she will die from that. And then the other two vampires that spawn, they can be randomly different types of vampires that have different logic. But basically you just want to hit them with orbs and don't get grabbed or damaged. So it's pretty straightforward. I did take a bit of transparency lag right there by running through the flames, but it's fine. The door unlocks once you kill the vampires, so you have to kill them. This is the elevator room. If you could get into the loading zone in this room, you could skip a huge amount of the castle center and thus a large amount of the game. However, I really don't think there's a way to do that. In this room, I actually... Alright, so yeah, jump on this railing, get up. But then here I look at my jewels, and if I don't have enough jewels, I'll actually jump across the other side of the railing, because inside the statue in this corner, you can get 10 jewels. But I did not need them in this run because I had enough. This is the locker room. I just try to basically jump across the other side of the room. However, occasionally, just depending on which locker the lizards spawn in, they can actually prevent you from opening this door by still being in existence when you reach it, because that's a room where you have to kill all the enemies, and what you're really trying to do is despawn them. So I throw an orb to kill the lizard that's nearest to me, and hopefully that works out. In this room, I'm just trying to make sure the first hit of the holy water does significant damage, and then just throw some orbs at the other one. I did get this kind of weird kill where I had a small orb circling for a while before finally hitting them, but that's fine. And you can pretty easily jump across the flames and enter the lizard room. This room is pretty notorious, but we don't quite do it yet. Head into the nitro room, skip the cutscene, and then actually save the game, and then the moment you say yes and the text box clears, you can reset. This is purely to reset the RNG value. However, it does cost about 35 seconds or so to do this sequence. But the RNG is reset, and then you want to leave this room almost as fast as possible, but just slightly delayed. And then you want to shoot one uncharged orb, and this is all RNG manipulation so that when the lizard walks into this position and stops, you can throw another orb. Then the lizard will approach this door in a way such that when you try to open the door, the lizard's body will push you into this corner, which will allow you to be in a state where both rooms are loaded simultaneously, yet you still have control over Carrie. So the RNG manipulation was purely to get the lizard in this position. The lizard has 8 different spots that he can run to in this room. However, it's kind of complicated because there's like a spot kind of near the door the lizard has to go to, but it has to be approaching from a certain line and then has to be kind of exiting in a certain way as well. So it's not just a 1 in 8. It's like, it's hard. It's really actually pretty complicated and hard to calculate what the true odds would be of getting this lizard in this position faster than it would take to save and reset the game, to reset the RNG. It's definitely a potential time saver, however it's purely luck based, and from my experience it's very unreliable. It would also allow you to keep your power up if you could do that, but yeah, I don't know, it's just a very degenerate strategy that requires obscene luck, and it's pretty dumb. I mean, I guess perhaps in some long-term future of the game someone could do that. Part of me thinks it's bad for the game, and it would also encourage people to cheat or something. I could very easily envision a Game Shark code or something where you press the D-pad as you enter the lizard room to set the RNG value very specifically, which would allow the lizard to run exactly in the right position which would be pretty lame. And so, yeah, it's just kind of something that's unfortunate, I think. But the RNG manipulation that we do have works 100% consistently. You just have to accept that you're losing 35 seconds or more. And you lose your power-up, which actually causes more luck to be required later in the run, which is kind of unfortunate. But it's all required to get into the library early, which is what I'm trying to do here. So after you try to open the door and the lizard pushes you, the door remains open, and there's a kind of a radius that I believe starts in this corner where she was. It's like a circular radius, and if you're in that radius, the door will not close. If you go into the other room a little bit, that means that when the door closes, this room will despawn, and the far room will remain loaded. If you don't cross over this halfway point, then when the door closes, this room will remain loaded. So I cross over the threshold and then I turn around, and I'm basically walking kind of to like the south, I guess you could call it south, like kind of far away, a little bit away from the origin or whatever. And I'm basically trying to face directly this way, like this direction. And luckily I got a really good angle. This is basically ideal. And from here, what I want to do is switch to action view so that the camera doesn't mess with me. Then I want to hold forward before I release R, and that allows me to basically, I gave myself a bit of distance before I exit the threshold of the door closing. I have a good angle and the camera's not messing with me, so that's all what I want. Except that now, the moment I get past this corner of this pillar, I need to be rotating to the right, and I need to initiate a slide jump. So I do that, and this is very peculiar, or very particular. It's very exact, and it's very easy to lose a run here, but basically the current room will despawn once the door closes all the way. And then, because I initiated a slide jump, I will continue to slide out of bounds and then jump. Now the walls are actually still solid, so I can't just jump into that room. I have to go through the floor. I have to come up through the floor. But the floor can be passed through from below. The walls are solid on both sides. So there, I got through. That's one of the harder tricks. It's pretty hard. And it's nice to get past that on your first try in a run. It's nice. So then I go through this door, and I actually pause here to initiate the sun card. This is to make sure that the timing for Dracula at the end of the game, along with some vampire fights coming up, are all kind of aligned well with the time of day. And that was actually a nice section because it's kind of easy to accidentally grab a ledge there. And then heading up through here, I do one more ledge jump successfully. Then we have a long text box, and I have to enter the secret code, which is 248. I actually use the D-pad to press right in that menu. It's the only time I actually intentionally use the D-pad. Alright, so now we exit. And then I have an angle there so that I can immediately back hop off the ledge and get down, exiting the library. So then here I'm trying to get a particular angle. That's a pretty good angle, and that works. So what I have to do is I have to do a slide jump, but I have to make sure that the jump input is as early as possible in the slide, otherwise she'll simply fall out of bounds. So that's an easy place to screw up, and the angle is pretty exact. Also, when I talk to this lizard, like, there are different ways the lizard can go. Like I mentioned, there's 8 different choices, and that was a pretty bad choice the lizard just made. So that was a little bit slow because I had to wait for him to rotate and I had to go a little bit further into the room than I wanted to. Alright, this is the Nitro Glitch. By running forward, jumping, and pressing interact on the same frame as jump, and then continuing to hold forward until I land, you get that white screen. Then you get a whole bunch of flames that can lag the game. And we also get this, which is the biggest blunder of the run. There's a window clip you can do here, and I really screwed it up. But basically that glitch allows me to basically be invincible until I enter the next loading zone. And during the white screen I actually obtained another Nitro, which is something that I needed because I actually used the first one to initiate the glitch. And the glitch really just saves time because I can jump and hop through all these rooms, which actually is a lot faster than walking. So yeah, unfortunately that window glitch, I didn't quite practice it that much. It's something that kind of slipped my mind, and then it just so happened that in this run I struggled with it. There was about a 10-second time loss there. So here I go action view, and I just try to go straight across then diagonally on that small bridge, and that's pretty consistent. It mostly works. I go back to normal view here because normal view is the best camera to use for the upcoming cog skip or gear skip. Make sure that I'm running at the right angle, and then I'll pop up. Like at this point, the Nitro that I picked up, like the Nitro glitch is gone, but I still am carrying Nitro, so I can't jump anymore. That's why I have to do that room like that. And this part's all about making your way all the way back down to the very bottom floor of the castle center, because you need to plant the Nitro in the bowl room. Not too much to say at this point. So you can charge an orb here, and then I actually stop and turn and then kill this as early as I can with another small orb attack, because it actually reduces a lot of lag to kill those guys as soon as you can. And so this big cracked wall here, it would normally have a big magical seal on it, but that was dispelled by entering the library and entering that password. And then I'm bringing the Nitro all the way here. So to detonate the Nitro I need the Mandragora. I have to run across this room again, and then go to the other side of floor 1, and then I can go into the Mandragora room. So here again I want to kill the motorcycle skeleton as fast as I can. So just make sure I kill it. I could have thrown an uncharged orb right there to break that candle faster. I don't know why I did not do that. But there's a guaranteed power up there. And then what I'm hoping for is that one of the 2 vampires in this room will give me another power up. Here I just try to get some damage and jump past and hopefully kill that guy. And then do close range attack for the final hit on her, and then hopefully one of these will give me a power up. However, in this run neither did, and so along with that window skip, not getting a power up here was the other significant kind of mistake, if you can call it a mistake, for Castle Center. So I think with those 2 things combined you could save definitely over 15 seconds on Castle Center compared to this run. So this is the stage with the most time to save, but I've put away my N64. I'm not actually running this anymore, so that's why I felt compelled to make this commentary. Yep, so you activate the boss, and then I just back hop into the boss and walk a little bit. I'm not sure if that's the fastest way to do that. And then I actually believe you might be able to throw these 2 holy waters earlier and then get away before the legs blow, like earlier, which helps with like avoiding lag and transparency and stuff. Then I actually, yeah, it's like, yeah, like I don't know, this fight might be a little bit more optimizable, but like I stand, like there's this dark line here, then another dark patch here, but there's kind of like a light patch between them. That's where I stand. I'm not sure if that's the optimal place to stand. It's just a place that was comfortable for me to stand here, because basically you're luring the bull and trying to get the bull to like enter into this other animation. And what I could have done here is actually look down longer, but due to not practicing this that much, I look up too early, and so I'm faced with this huge amount of dust. So like, yeah, it's possible to do this part faster. So here I'm supposed to jump forward and throw holy water, but I actually missed the legs, and because I missed the legs, I knew that the legs might not get destroyed. So what I do is I throw 1, 2, and then 1 extra holy water as I back hop away to make sure that the legs are gone, and luckily I had exactly enough jewels, because I had an extra 3 jewels for the extra holy water, so that actually works out. Then I'm trying to break off the face with the close range melee orb technique, and then I look away. And then again, I'm not exactly sure the optimal time to throw that holy water. This boss is definitely, like, I guess I don't have complete knowledge of this boss, but 2 more holy waters and that does it. I mean, that was an okay fight, but like, I do think that's potentially a place that could be further optimized and improved. Alright, so this is another boss fight where it would be really nice if I would have got that orb from the Mandragora room. I need to make sure that she does do that orange orb attack, otherwise the game will crash after you defeat her. But you can lock her into this situation. And actually, I believe if you do a frame perfect release of the charge orb, like kind of early into the animation, you can still get full damage. It's not something that I practiced, and it's not something that I go for. But in theory, I believe you could save time on that boss by doing these frame perfect orb charges. And then in this room, I had to do this kind of backup where I climb up here to break this torch, which I actually missed with the first swing, which was kind of bad. But I need that other power up, and that's like the only other place I can really get it. So that's part of where the time is lost from not getting lucky in the Mandragora room. And I ledge jump up here, and finally exit the castle center, heading to the Tower of Science. So here I just wait for the timing of when that first box comes out. It's like you don't actually know when it's going to. Sometimes you have to wait longer, so I wait until it comes out and then I go, and I know I'm safe. And then here, these lasers have different, like each laser can have different types. Like some have like a fake out shot they can do, and there's like different patterns they can do. So you have to like really adapt quickly. Like the moment I turn the corner, I'm really looking for these further lasers. Like this first one doesn't matter because you can just like run into it. Like it really doesn't matter. But the second and third one matter a lot. So I see the second one and it's going up, so I do a jump where I go under it and grab the ledge. So that works. And then here, it looks like these 2 lasers were on the same sync, like they're the same type of laser. So I knew it was gonna stop shooting soon, like I sensed it was gonna not shoot forever, which means it's gonna stop moving up. So I just decided to go, and I do make it over, but it was a little bit scary. And then here, there's 2 more things that shoot up boxes, but I'm looking at this second laser out here to see what it's doing. And then I see I can go. Oh, I actually didn't go, I just like waited, and then I go, and then I see I can just go again. So I don't know, you just have to adapt to it. It's like an in the moment like decision making thing. It can be dangerous, it's easy to die here. You also really don't want to be hit by the lasers on this section. But really when I'm coming up here, what I'm really trying to do is there's 2 more things to keep in mind. One is that these will shoot out boxes of some type every 30 in-game minutes, but exactly when on the hour it happens is kind of random, or like you don't know when it's going to happen. But once it happens once, you know the next one's coming exactly 30 minutes later. So I didn't know when it was going to shoot. But there it was, right? So then the next one will happen when the clock's facing the other direction. Like when the minute hand is going up at around like 10 minutes after the hour or something, or 5 minutes after. That's when the next box should come out. But the other thing to look out for is that when I turn these corners, I really want to be cautious about a box coming immediately in my path. Like right as I turn the corner, there can be a box like blindsiding me. And in this case, there's like this far out one. So you have to watch out for that too. It's really costly to get hit, and even the close boxes can sometimes actually clip you through the floor or kill you or other things. So that whole section's kind of dicey. But once I get to the elevator, I'm basically staring at this wall because it seems like a very low lag wall. It's just the one I like to look at here. And then getting up here, I kind of stumbled on my way up. So now we enter this room. It's a big room. It's a very laggy room. I charge an orb and kill this first drone or whatever it is. And then I tried to do an air grab of this key, which I successfully get. And then I leave. And then I'm basically just shooting a few orbs to try to kill some objects in this room that will hopefully reduce the slowdown a little bit. And then here I do a landing holy water to destroy this one, and then I charge an orb and destroy one more like drone that's in my way for later. And then here I tried to kill that drone or whatever it is, that gun turret I guess is what it's called, but I kind of failed to do that. Alright, so I charge the orb again and then kill it on my way out, which is fine. And then for this, what I want to do is I want to shoot a charged orb after I jump, and that should kill this one. And then hopefully that last one's not facing me, and it kind of was, but it didn't shoot me. Like it didn't hit me, so that's fine. Then I'm just kind of jumping out. This place is usually not too dangerous, like that section. Alright, so this next room is pretty intense for me. I'm trying to do ledge jumps up the whole way, but I fail on that one. You want to do a small jump as late as possible, but I fail it on a few of them. And then this one took 2 tries, so that was a good maybe 5 seconds to save on that climb. So that's something. It's hard to do that climb perfectly. I mean, that was like kind of average, but okay, so I see that box coming out of the second conveyor there. That means I can turn this corner pretty naturally and safely, although I'm still not that confident with this room, so I was struggling a little bit, but that mostly went okay. So I don't know, you could imagine maybe doing this level 6 seconds faster or something, 7 seconds faster or something. Alright, Tower of Sorcery. This is something I actually practiced a good amount. And it's a pretty fun level, it's pretty intense. Usually in runs, my heartbeat will be pounding very heavily around the end of this stage. Although in this run in particular, I wasn't as nervous because I had recently gotten the record. But there's something to say about these platforms. If you jump too late, very similarly to that one platform in the castle wall, these platforms also are slightly moving, which means that if you jump at the very edge, sometimes your running jump gets turned into a standing jump, and if that happens, you won't make it across and you will die. And if you die, you lose your power-ups, which means Dracula is going to take like another 2 minutes, and basically it runs over. So I make sure that I jump before the edge of the platform to guarantee my safety. Alright, so when you enter this room, the red disappearing crystals are at like a random point in their cycle. So sometimes you'll have to do a ledge jump on that ledge. And I didn't have to this time, but the fact that I went for it and got it just kind of shows I was confident. I was just feeling confident. Like, I certainly don't have to go for that ledge jump. So when that platform spawns, I jump at it. Like, I react to it spawning, and then I go. And then once I get to this third platform here, I have to wait a little bit and then jump kind of blindly onto that platform. And that will give me enough time to get to this ledge, which will get me up before it disappears. I have to destroy this little wisp or whatever, crystal wisp, because I need to raise that last yellow platform here. You can see it's going up now, and that gives me enough height to climb up. I tried to ledge jump, but it took 2 attempts. Here I do kind of a blind short jump, and I hold kind of like up left to get onto it. You can avoid grabbing some ledges. Then when I switch into action view here, let me go back a little bit. So kind of blind jump, climb up, no ledge grab, switch to action view, and then here no ledge grab, and then continue onward. And I did wait a little bit too long right here, but that was still pretty good. And basically this Tower of Sorcery is basically a good Tower of Sorcery. It's not like insanely exceptional, but it's like the pace that I want. Alright, here's Room of Clocks. I'm trying to land on the edge. Like, you can go out of bounds here really easily, but you can also get zipped upward. And you need to get zipped up to be able to grab this ledge here. And something about it is that my jump wasn't that good, so I actually had to kind of shimmy to the left here like 5 times. But my hop off the ledge was first try, which is very good, and then right there you can easily lose your run. So yeah, like, first of all, this jump, that often takes multiple tries, and sometimes you even just fall down, so you can actually lose a lot of time in this room. And then right here I get into this corner. There's actually 2 ways of doing this room. One is you can simply jump through the ceiling, but it's a very particular jump that's kind of picky. The other way is to wedge yourself into this little corner, and then what you need to do is press A on the exact frame that you get popped through the ceiling, and if you don't press it on that frame, you are soft locked and your run is over. However, if you are able to press A on that frame, then you just have to rotate your control stick upwards after you clip through, and you will pretty much always hit the loading zone. So after failing the kind of traditional jump through the ceiling or whatever, like the more standard way to do it in runs before, I felt uneasy and uncomfortable. So I just went to the method where I just had to mash really hard, and you can like look at what I'm doing with the controller. Like, you can just see the A button going crazy as I know that I really need to press that button on that frame. Then ledge jump. Then I intentionally do not ledge jump here because there's an elevator I need to wait for, kind of. And then I go for ledge jumps for the rest of the room. And I was actually successful, so this first room was really fast. That last one's a little bit tricky because you have to hold like upright but slightly more right. This room I'm not very comfortable with. I was having trouble with it, and I don't think I'm very fast at getting across it because the gears have like weird physics with the way the character interacts. But another thing too about this room, so the bone dragon at the key only has 1 HP, so you don't have to do anything, just like tap it. But then if you are all the way in this corner, you actually can't jump out. Like, there's a tiny wall protruding, and like it prevents you from like jumping out. So you actually have to be not in this corner but like out a bit when you jump. So you'll like notice how I do it, where I make sure that I'm jumping out of the middle of it. So I don't know, that room's pretty troll. And another thing too about this room is like not only this bone dragon thing, but the far one that shot that fireball. Like, this room just makes me nervous. Like, if that fireball is shooting at the wrong time, or I took a little bit of extra time getting the key or something, like sometimes disasters can happen. So it's not my most comfortable room. Alright, so the final room of the clock tower. I actually opened the door a little bit to the left, and that causes, you'll notice she gets pushed up left as she exits the room. See that? So that helps me make it so that my side hop off this platform's good, but not only that, I'm also holding R so that she won't rotate, so that her facing angle is locked. And then I'm holding diagonal down, but a slightly bit more down, very similar to the castle wall out of bounds. I just mash A at this point, and that should give me a good hop down to this key very fast. Alright, one more unfortunate mistake happens right here. I'm doing these blind jumps behind the pillar, and I somehow miss. So I actually had to climb back up there, and that was actually kind of costly, maybe 4 seconds or something. However, the rest of this goes fine. I do take my time turning around right here to make sure that my jump is good, because it's very easy to accidentally side hop or something. Oh, I guess one other little detail is that, so for this jump right here, I do a standing jump and then immediately press towards the ledge. And that makes it so instead of going up and then down and grabbing the ledge, she'll like grab it on the way up. So that saves like a very small amount of time. And then there's one more kind of tricky jump where you can barely land on that ledge there. And you can see how this game has a, actually strangely, Legacy of Darkness, which is like the kind of remastered or like expansion of this game or something. I don't know why, but they changed it so it doesn't happen anymore. But in this game, I mean, not only do you have leniency with doing a jump off the edge, like Coyote Time or whatever, which is kind of impressive for an older 3D game to have that, but also there's leniency with like clipping up onto a ledge as you jump at it. And if you happen to jump at the very top of this gear, you can actually avoid the ledge grab right here. And I do it successfully there, so you can see it kind of pop up onto it. So that was successful. However, I did lose some time overall in the clock tower. Alright, so at this point, you're basically climbing to Dracula. There's one cutscene to skip right here. It should be noted that these stairs come in like different chunks, and if you jump at the seam, your jump can get turned into a standing jump, I believe. Or just like, either that or you just like clip and don't jump at all. So there's something to keep in mind. For the final door, you want to open it pretty far to the left. Right there. And then the first Dracula fight is very heavily luck based. It can also be very troll in general, so like, alright, one teleport and then he's solid, and I hit him with a fully charged orb, so that was good. One teleport and I hit him, so that was good. One teleport and I hit him, that was really good. So here was a double teleport, and he brings his arms up to his head, but I still hit him, which is good, and then he does one more teleport and I hit him. So that was actually a really good fight. I could have got slightly more lucky because he did do that one double teleport. Here my jump got messed up, there was a little mistake there. But the rest of the descent goes fine. But yeah, the Dracula fight, especially the first one, can really waste your time. And sometimes his arms or whatever just block the hit. It can be pretty troll. Alright, the final ledge jump of the run, right here. And this is actually where stereo audio is essential. I play this run with headphones, because he can spawn in different corners of the arena, and you want to take him out in 3 cycles. However, here he did spawn in front of me visually, but if you don't see him after the teleport, I actually play this pretty well. I'm like looking out for like the closer teleports you can do, and also scouting out the far teleports but still being close enough so I can get the 3 cycles. That went really well. That was like a good fight. It was confident. Here I hold up right, charge some orbs, wait for him to do the swipe, and then basically you just stand in the middle, and basically at this point the run's over. You just throw some orbs and it's done. It's a pretty easy fight. And it completes at 34 minutes and 19 seconds. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't too nervous during this run because I had just gotten the record like 2 days prior or something like that. And if you look at the splits, you can see that I saved 10 seconds on Dracula because I had that really good Dracula 1, a 3-cycle Dracula 2, and then Dracula 3 is pretty free. But yes, if you think about the run in general, like I got to the moon card fast, I used it, I don't think I had that much lag, and then I got to Rosa early, so the whole first part of the run is fast. Then, you know, there was some like very minor time loss before Castle Center, but it was very fast. And then in Castle Center, I lost 10 seconds on the window clip, which is unfortunate. I also did not get a power-up drop in the Mandragora room, so that was also unfortunate. It makes that other boss fight after the bull slower. It also means that I have to go out of my way to get the other power-up in the elevator room, which I actually did slightly slowly. So there was definitely over 15 seconds. Wouldn't be surprised if it's 20 seconds or more in Castle Center to save. And then Tower of Science, you could imagine a 5-second time saver by not having to grab those ledges near the end with like a perfect climb. And the rest of it was pretty good. Maybe there's a bit more time to save there, but not much. Tower of Sorcery I did up to my standards, so I pretty much, if I do what I'm trying to do in that room, I'll do it that fast. It might be possible to do the ending faster, I don't know if it actually is. But then my zip in the Room of Clocks was second try, and my climb was, I had to climb over 5 times, so that was a little bit slow, but first try getting up, and then I clipped through. First room of Clock Tower was really fast, second room of Clock Tower was average, final room of Clock Tower lost maybe over 4 seconds, and then I lost maybe 2 seconds on Dracula. So with all those time saves possible, it's clear that sub 34 is possible. However, after I got this run, actually I played a bit more and tried to lower it a little bit, but I've quickly felt discouraged because this run felt like a good stopping point. I didn't want to do anything too ridiculous, like trying to grind out lizard luck to avoid the save warp, or like the save and reset. So that's my commentary. That's pretty much everything I know. I guess there's one other thing to say, which is that if you look back in this Nitro room, so something else you can do in the Nitro room here is that, so it's possible to jump on these boxes and then get like through the ceiling and then get onto the other side of this room. So instead of going through the window, you could go up on these boxes and then get over here. I actually don't know how that route would compare to the route that I chose to do, but I do remember that the boxes are pretty troll to get up here. Like, it's very picky and troll, but I haven't looked into it that much. So pretty much now I'm just waiting to see if anyone else, like, is anyone else gonna become amazing at the game? Is anyone else gonna find some new discovery, a new skip or something? I don't know, I'm probably done playing it. But yeah, just done on a basic N64 controller, unmodified. The version of the game is NTSC USA version 1.0, the very original release, the earliest release of the game. Happens to have the most skips. I guess one other thing too is that when you exit the villa heading into this room, the garden maze, there's a statue here and there's one on the other side. On the PAL version, they actually sped up her movements to kind of offset the 25 frames per second. And it actually is possible to clip through the statue and get out of bounds here. Only on PAL, as far as we know. Maybe someone could do it on NTSC. If that's the case, then you could definitely kind of reroute this and cut off potentially minutes or something. In the elevator room in Castle Center, like I said, there's a loading zone. Where am I? Here's the elevator room. So I really don't think it's gonna happen, but if you touch the loading zone inside of this, then you could skip like 10 minutes or something. But I don't think it's possible to do it. And I don't know. That's pretty much all I have to say. So, thanks for listening to my commentary. I doubt I will beat this time, but who knows if the future unfolds a different variation of this run with new skips or something. Don't really know, but yeah, I definitely got emotional a couple days after I got this time. I actually wrote 3419 on my controller before putting my N64 away. I don't know when I will next bring out the N64, but I feel like pretty done. Like last year I spent a lot of time playing Beetle Adventure Racing. I still have a lot of pretty strong records in that game. And then this game, I just met my goal, which was to get the record, but then I beat that by another 19 seconds. So this run's pretty solid, thanks to Dracula, and also just early Rosa, and just like having a pretty good run in general. It's like up to my standards, I guess. Yeah, there's nothing else to say, so thank you for watching.